Hello and welcome. My name is Anna Delman. It is day number 237 of my note writing, and today's note is I have not arrived. I'm still a work in progress. Keep learning. When will I know enough? Never. In the Christian realm, that's just too true, friends, and the quicker we learn it, the easier it will be for us, because God's goal for us is dependence on Him. This particularly has been what I've been thinking about since my conversation and sharing yesterday, the example of Job, and then thinking about my own circumstances. Sure, I haven't had the kind of losses Job had, but I have had things that I've had to give up and losses in my own life that were hard for me to deal with. Simply because I don't see myself as some huge, big, brilliant person. I'm just a regular, normal person with regular, normal interests, living a regular, normal life, and never aspired to be greater than just functioning in my giftedness. You may wonder then, why am I doing YouTube? Because I have a second lease of life, and I want to encourage others with the knowledge and the wisdom He's given me. I don't have the little community I was once able to influence, people living with me, young women living with me who I could pour into and encourage and teach how to live in a harmonious home where everybody got along, etc. I'm using this as a platform as I would talk to them. I'm now talking to you to hopefully encourage you along the way, because friends, it's important. The way you are when you're alone, what your heart sentiments are when you're alone, in your own little room, whether you're living in a house with a bunch of other people, in those quiet little moments of your own little inner being. That's your reality. Now, if you're at peace with all that's going on in there, and it's not a 24/7 peace, friends. We do war within ourselves. It's spiritual warfare. But we keep going back to what God wants us to know. Now, since yesterday, I've added on the board Philippians 2 verses 12 through 13, because that's been my mindset. I have not arrived. I'm still a work in progress. And I want other people to know that no matter what your age and what God has you going through, you are being taught for a greater purpose. There's nothing more sweet than being dependent on Him to be able to move forward. And you may think, well, I'm strong enough now. Well, isn't that enough? No, because once you think you're strong enough, it's when you start being independent, self-dependent, because you think you've arrived and you can keep functioning as you are. God wants you to be dependent on Him. So let's look at Philippians 2, 12 and 13. If you're able to get your hands on an amplified translation or look it up on Bible Gateway, please do, because it explains it so well, and I want you to be encouraged, friends. I want you to know what God is doing in your life when you are having those melancholy moments, when you are saying, okay, Lord, a break. Have I not yet arrived? And the answer is no. I want you to be dependent on me. That means we need to rush under His wings and feel the comfort. It's when we don't do that we struggle. It doesn't mean the problem's going to go away, friends. No, it's not. The circumstances don't need to change. You need to be rushing under His wings, not to hide from reality, but for the comfort and the peace within it, that you can go out and live the life He wants you to live. So, as said, let's go to Philippians 2, and I'm going to start reading to you verse number 12 from the Amplified Translation. Just as you have always obeyed my instructions with enthusiasm, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation. That is, cultivate it, bring it to full effect. Actively pursue spiritual maturity with awe-inspired fear and trembling, using serious caution and critical self-evaluation to avoid anything that might offend God or discredit the name of Christ. And then verse number 13. For it is not your strength but it is God who is effectively at work in you, both to will and to work that is strengthening, energizing, and creating in you the longing and the ability to fulfill your purpose for His good pleasure. That's where He wants. That's what dependence on Him looks like. And although the trials, the struggles, those things taken away from your life, the difficulties, the awkwardnesses that you are living in, is not fun. Getting to the point of maturity is saying, I don't like all of that. I don't like where I'm at. I don't like what's going on. But having the inner strength to be joyous, to be content, and to glorify His name through it all for His good pleasure. So friends, what is your agenda? What is your plan as your goal for 2026? To work out your salvation. How do you plan to cultivate and bring it to full effect? To actively pursue spiritual maturity with awe-inspired fear and trembling. I heard somebody commenting the other day that the reason why so many church leaders, I'm referring to the US, most of my Christian life was when I was in the US. I was saved there. I went to Bible school there. I have a bachelor's and a master's, which I earned there at a Bible college. So I follow all of those teachers very closely. And a pastor was saying that some of the older men who are in their 70s, who have for many years, 5 years, 8 years, some have passed away, some are still with us, who have fallen from ministries because they lost their fear of God. Now that's not fear in the negative where you tremble and you quake and you're terrified. It's fear, awe, and reverence. Awe-inspired fear and trembling, not in the negative, trembling in awe of the presence of God, of who He is in your life. That's what we need to get to. Why am I stressing that so heavily with you today? Because I had to stress it to myself so heavily with myself this morning and today. I have not yet arrived. I'm still a work in progress. I need to keep learning. When will I know enough? Friends, from the sweetness and the blessings I know of God's presence in my life when I rush to Him, I hope never. Because His goal for me is dependence on Him. And that truly is the sweetest blessing I can ever have from Him. Other than, of course, my salvation and the knowledge of who Jesus Christ is. So until tomorrow, take care and God bless and keep learning, growing. Bye-bye for now.